So when it was difficult for him to find a job according to his potential, then he thought that it was really not his freedom, and he thought that his freedom, it has been ripped away from him. Okay, so then he has also realized that it was not his freedom which has been taken away from him, but it was the freedom of his countrymen, also of his brothers and sisters too, which has been taken away from him. Okay, so now let us start with this chapter. I'm sharing the content with you. Please see. Now we have read this one also. Okay. So coming up to we read this one also. So here we were on that day. Okay. So yesterday we have finished it here, right? So let us start from here. So what he has said. So he has said that he has to fulfill his twin obligations, right? So now let us start the reading. I'm taken it from the previous line, first line, that is, it was his desire. It was his desire for the freedom. 1 minute, please. Then it was his desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life. He said that it was his desire. He wanted to live a life of fulfillment. He wanted to live a life filled with desire. Because why he thought so? It is just because of the reason that he wanted to live a life which is full of respect, which is full of dignity, which should not be based on any kind of discrimination between races just on the basis of their color. He never wanted that. And he wanted self-respect also, but this has animated his life. Animated his life means this has changed his life and has transformed a frightened young man into a bold one. See the transformation in his behavior, in his character. So what happened? He said that earlier when he was a young man, he was quite a frightened man. Why he was a frightened man? Because he thought he was law abiding. Okay, he was always following the rules. He thought that if he will go against the rule, that will really be a wrong part on that will really be a wrong on his part. And you know that during his childhood also he was just following the rules of the tribe. But then he has turned into a, you can say, into a bold one who can speak against the law. That drove a law-abiding attorney, means he was, by profession he was an attorney, to become a criminal. See, an attorney, he knows each and every rule of law, but what happens? He has turned out to be a criminal. That turned a family loving husband into a man without a home. And finally, he has moved a man who loved his family a lot. Okay, so who loved his family a lot, and now he has changed. Now he has changed into a houseless man who is moving, or who is, you can say, living a life of loneliness, who is living a separated as well as secluded life. Okay, I'm no more virtuous. So I'm no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man. But I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedom I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. He said, I don't say that I'm more virtuous or I'm more, you can say, capable than any of the other men. No, he said, this is not the reason.
Ma'am, you are muted.
Yes,
Muted.
I got
Ma'am,
now.
you are
I got
muted.
now. So now he said that freedom is indivisible. We cannot change freedom. We cannot divide freedom among people. Okay, we cannot divide freedom among people. We cannot change them. Okay, but the chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. But he actually said that the chains which were holding all the people of my country or all the countrymen or all my brothers and sisters, they are actually, he said, chains on me, chains on my body, chains on my, you can say, soul. Because if I am not free, how can I feel? If they are not free, how can I feel that I am free? Although if I am enjoying all the rights of, you can say, law, but this doesn't mean that if my brothers and sisters, they are not enjoying, that I should be, you can say, I should be, you can say, feel free. He said no. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. So now here he is making very important, you can say, comparison between the oppressed and the oppressor. So what he is saying about the oppressed and the oppressor? So he is saying that both the oppressed means the people who are getting oppressed, and oppressor means the person who is oppressing the other person. So now what he is saying that in both these cases, okay, both the oppressed and the oppressor, they suffer. It is not like that oppressor is free. Okay, who is oppressing other one, he is free, he is free mind. No, he is saying he is not free mind. Actually, he is also under burden of his own thinking, burden of his own narrow thinking. Okay, so you can see that it is not only the chains on our body that make us, you can say, bound, but sometimes there is, you can say, narrow mindedness also. There is, you can say, when you are behind the bars. Okay, behind the bars means bars of your own thoughts. And that moment also, when you are, you can say, limited to an area, you have limited your thinking, that what has happened, that you won't be able, okay, at that moment you won't be able to liberate yourself, you won't be able to free yourself. And this is what he is talking about. He is talking about this kind of, you can say, freedom. Okay, so he is saying that if he is not free, okay, then how can his countrymen be? And he is saying if anybody is oppressing us, this means that if we are under this burden of oppression, the oppressor is also not free. Okay, so see what he's saying. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of fate. Yes, a man, a man who has taken another man's freedom. Okay, so he is also an oppressor. Okay, he is an oppressor, and he is also in shackles. He is also in boundaries. He is also behind the bars. Okay, he is locked behind the bars of prejudice, means differences and sorrow. Okay, and narrow-mindedness. So this man is always behind the bars. Why he is behind the bars? Because he's burdened himself just because of his narrow-mindedness. He thought that he's so, you can say, he's so confined or limited to his boundary only, that he is not able to come out of that narrow-mindedness. Narrow-mindedness means short thinking, limited thinking, okay, in which a person turns out to be so self-centered that he thinks only about himself. So what he's saying that at that moment, the person turns out to be so self-centered that he is confined behind the bars of his narrow-mindedness. So I'm not truly free if I'm taking away someone else's freedom. He said, if I have taken someone else's freedom, then how can I be free? No, you won't be free, because at that moment you will also be under the burden of that narrow thinking. Okay, you have confined yourself, you have limited your thinking. Freedom is not actually freedom of, you can say, freedom is not actually like to move anywhere, to go anywhere. This is not actually freedom. What actually freedom is? Freedom actually means it is moving, it is liberating your soul. Okay, let it be free. So he said, if he is taking away anybody's, you can say, if he is taking away anybody's, you can say, freedom, how can he be free? He won't be free at any moment. Okay, he said, I can't be free. Okay, so I'm taking away someone else's freedom just as surely as I'm not free. When my freedom is taken away from me, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. So it means that what he's saying, that if I'm taking somebody else's freedom, what it means that he said that I'm robbing I'm robbed of that humanity, means he is devoid of that humanity. This is really an inhumane character to take away someone's freedom. If you are taking away someone's freedom, that you are not a God fearing person. You are not a law abiding person. You do not respect the freedom of others. So this is what he is talking about. Okay, so mainly what point of thinking that he is going to represent through this chapter is that Nelson Mandela, he wants to highlight the importance of freedom, that what actually freedom was, and how he felt on that day when he was liberated of that policy of apartheid, when that policy of apartheid has come to an end, and it was democratically elected government of South Africa, that the first black president was elected. It is first ever in the history of South Africa. And on that day, when he has taken the oath, he was filled with, you can say, he was filled with the enormity of the situation. He was feeling himself to be great. Okay, that it is just because of the sacrifices of his forefathers since from the starting of the 21st century that they have undergone so many, they have put in so many sacrifices, and it is just because of this reason that they are able to overcome it. Okay, so this is how Nelson Mandela has explained in this chapter. So then afterwards he has talked about freedom. Okay, so this I have explained in the starting of the chapter. So the last one, you can also mention the question here, that what transformation, write down the question, what transformation did take place, what transformation of character did take place in Nelson Mandela? What transformation of character did take place in Nelson Mandela when he stood against discrimination? When he stood against discrimination. So what happened? So a transformation has taken place. Earlier he was a, you can say, law abiding attorney that has turned into a criminal. Okay, he was a fearful young man, frightened young man. It has turned him into a bold one. And ultimately, a family loving husband has changed into a man without a home and a house. How can he be able to live without a house and a home? So, this is what Nelson Mandela is explaining in this, you can say, chapter. Okay. So, next, last question, Raida. So, what he said about the oppressed, how the oppressed and the oppressor both are not free. How, according to Nelson Mandela, the oppressor and the oppressed both are not free. How, according to Nelson Mandela, the oppressed and the oppressor both are not free. Okay. So, coming up to the oral comprehensions. We have done the oral comprehension on page number, that is 21. It was discussed, I think so. Just put your thumb up if yes. If you forget, then I will repeat for you people. Okay. Comprehensions on page number 21, right? So 1 minute, let me try to share it with you. Oral comprehension on page number . Yes, so this is the oral comprehension on page number 21 that we have to do. Yes. So what do the military generals do? How has their attitude changed and why? So the military generals on the day of oath taking ceremony, they were saluting or their chest bedecked with ribbons as well as medals. They were saluting Nelson Mandela. This was a way of showing their respect to the newly formulated government. This is not only a way of showing respect to this newly formulated government, but actually this is also a way of, you can say, showing assertion to this first democratically elected government that they are going to be loyal and they saluted and pledged their loyalty towards him. Okay, so when he has seen the helicopters, troop carriers, they were roaring over the buildings of the over the Union buildings, and it was again I'm saying that it was again a military's loyalty to this newly formulated government. This was not a way of, you can say, only you can say it is, you can say, display of their, you can say, flight, but actually it was their actual, you can say, loyalty to the newly formulated government that has been displayed in this manner. Next question, why were two national anthems sung? We have discussed these questions, I remember. Okay, so why these two national anthems were sung? The two national anthems on that day were sung. For the blacks, it was Daistam, and for whites, it was Nkosi Siklal Africa, because it means that both the national anthems, they were of equal importance. Now, at that moment, both the you can say people, although they don't know the wordings of the anthems of both the races, but soon they will. It means that the playing of the national anthem of both these races, and during this, you can say, oath taking ceremony, it represents that now there is not any kind of difference, there is not any kind of discrimination among both the races. They are quite at par with each other. Next, how does Mandela describe the systems of the government in his country in the first decade, then in the final decade, and then the 20th century? So yes, on that day of inauguration, so he was overwhelmed by the event of history. He remembered the days of the Anglo-Boer War. In the starting of the 20th century, he said, in the first decade of 20th century, during the Anglo-Boer War, he remembered that these white people, they have patched up a system of racial discrimination against dark skinned people, against black people. So this you can, this inhumane treatment or this structure that they have created, it was carried forward till the last decade of the 20th century. Okay, till the final decade means it was carried forward till the last decade of the 20th century. Okay, and this has filled the people of, you can say, this has also filled the people of South Africa to be filled with the, you can say, to be filled with greater depths of character, because it is just their sacrifices only that today in the, you can say, the final decade of the 20th century, that this policy of apartheid, it has come to an end. Okay, it has come to an end, and it is just because of this reason that they are enjoying equality of rights to that of white people at this very moment. It means that in the starting of the 20th century, it has come to an end, and now what has happened, that it is going to be ended. So what does courage mean to Mandela? This I have discussed with you yesterday. So when he has turned out to be a part of the African National Congress, when he was turned out to be a part of this, you can say, struggle of freedom, and when he stood against this policy of apartheid, then at that moment he has come to know what is the actual meaning of courage. It is from the comrades of this struggle that he has come to know what is the meaning of courage. He said that courage was not only absence of fear, but it is actually a victory over it. Okay, one should not be afraid. Okay, uh, uh, it means it is not like that. It is not like that. You can say one should be afraid of courage. One should, you can say, follow a different path in order to avoid courage. No, to overpower it. Okay, this is courage. Which does he think is natural, love or hate? If love is natural, he said, hate can also be, if hate is natural, love can also be taught to people. Okay, if people can know how to hate, then they should also be taught how to love each other. Okay, so this is about the question answers that we have to discuss today, and I hope that you have understood them well, and tomorrow we will continue with the rest of the questions. Okay.